Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, coming at you with another video. And so, if you don't know, well, let me show you here. Boom! It's about anything and everything. The V Club, the Villain Club. And I say that because sometimes I might say some things that may not be to your liking, but that's what I welcome here. It's open to any and all opinions and thoughts and all that good stuff. And if you have anything that you want me to talk about, nothing's off the table. I talk about it. So yeah, about anything and everything, lifestyle, entertainment, all that and more. So let's just get to it, all right? And I always enjoy looking at Sleepy Joe Biden, all right? And it's gonna be that day when he's finally out of office, all right? So things have gone on, all right? And so over the last couple of days, and it's just funny, how it's like when it comes to DEI and all this stuff, it's like reverse racism, right? When it comes to who's saying things and things like that. We'll talk about that more another day, you know. Um, but you look at places like, for example, Chicago. Chicago's a mess, right? Because of their budget and how he really wants to tax people, but people, even his own council people, right? The aldermans are against the taxation of the people. All right, so they were supposed to put up a new budget proposal, and rather than go through with, I guess, the voting process, I think he had an idea that it was going to be shot down. So he had the idea that it was going to be shot down. So he was just like, "Nah, we're not going to put it up to a vote," like an idiot that he is. Yeah. So yeah, Brandon Johnson is, you know, I don't know if he's going to actually put it up. He probably will put it up to a vote at some point, but on Friday he didn't. All right, so let's take a quick look at this. This is one of the main subjects I wanted to talk about before we get to the bigger
We have
subject.
developing news tonight on the city's budget. Mayor Johnson has rolled out his fourth proposed budget plan. This one removes property taxes, but critics say it doesn't go nearly deep enough. Remember, there's a near $1 billion budget gap that needs to be made up, and a city shutdown looming if a deal isn't reached by year's end.
This meeting is recessed until December 16th.
In his first major budget move since quickly adjourning Friday's city council meeting after not shoring up the 26 votes needed for his $68 million property tax plan, Mayor Johnson's new proposal removes property tax hikes altogether.
Look at that. They went from 300 million property tax proposed, right, to 150 million, and then down to 68.5. And he's desperate. He's just desperate to tax property, man. And it tells you how terrible he is. Well, it tells you how terrible Democrats are in running budgets. They can't run budgets. All they can do is spend, and the frivolous spending that he has done shows you. Like, look at this right here: 80,000 to renovate and furnish office for it was like his wife or something like that he refers to as the first lady. I mean, get a load of himself, all right? Yeah, that was my first lady. Get the fuck out of here! You're not some president, man. So, shit like that. And then when the budget comes and you're $1 billion deficit, this is what happens.
He's bringing in, though, a $40 million delay in a payment the city owes, freeing up that money now, but it would need to be paid later.
This is like taking out a payday loan to say that, look, I got a raise in my
that's what
salary.
Gavin Newsom. That's what Gavin Newsom does in California. Defers stuff and just delayed payback stuff and bonds and all that for the future to pay down the road. All right, this delay tactic stuff needs to go. Like same thing that Gavin Newsom is doing in California.
How this works.
Sports and special event organizers would pay more in this new plan to offset police overtime, and $3 million would be saved in middle management cuts for the city.
People are looking for cuts and efficiencies, and these cuts are nowhere near the cuts that need to be done.
Alderman Anthony Beal is part of a group of 15 alders proposing far more sweeping cuts citywide to trim over $800 million in city costs.
I just really wish that the administration would for once put his pride to the side, and he claims he's a collaborator in chief, but he's not collaborating with the 15, 16 people who have stopped this train wreck. He just insists on hitting the gas and going over the cliff, and that's what he's about to do.
The cliff arrives January 1st, when a city shutdown would kick in if no budget's passed.
Oh, man, I can't
It's
wait.
either you get a budget or you close.
Former Alderman Dick Simpson
wait.
says it would be unprecedented in modern Chicago times.
It would be a mess, and we don't really know how to handle it since we've not had it happen.
What happens Monday is also unclear. Whether a vote occurs, and if it does, can Johnson shore up the 26 votes needed to pass it?
Is the exact opposite of what Chicagoans
No
want.
way.
They want to see cuts. They want to see an effort to right-size government, and simply taking out a loan just to get through the moment is unacceptable.
Late tonight, 15 members of council asked the mayor in a letter to deepen proposed cuts, including the elimination of several city offices, saving the city over $200 million new dollars, including the Public Safety Administration. Those alders also call for the return of ShotSpotter in Chicago. Some, by the way, are dubious that this vote will happen tomorrow at all, with just over 2 weeks now to get that deal done. If you want to plug in tomorrow, that
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And you know, it's funny too. Yeah. He tried to save money from ShotSpotter and open it up to criminals. I mean, come on. Like, take away another tool for the police to use, right? And shit like that. So Barron Johnson, the process of recalling and removing a mayor in Chicago is really tough. So they screwed themselves with their policies, so they're stuck with them. But Brandon Johnson's an idiot, all right, and just a straight moron. All right, so yeah, I'm glad to see. I hope he fails, because he should fail, and Chicago's going to be shut down come January 1st. I can't see the aldermen supporting the vote if there's really no cuts happening here. If anything, he's cutting like a couple $100 million, but you need another $800 million to cut. $1 billion altogether. So. I know it hurts, Brandon, but it needs to be done. Cut, all right? Now, let's take a look at what's been going on here. So, a couple days ago, there was a lawsuit filed by Donald Trump to ABC to George Stephanopoulos. All right, George Stephanopoulos, this dude here, his background goes as far back as the Clinton administration. I think he used to be he used to work for his administration in some capacity, and this guy is so full of himself, right? And this is deserving, right? I think when Trump said he's going to file a lawsuit for defamation on ABC, especially against him because of his accusations and claims and what he was saying about Trump, and Trump said, I'm going to file against you and you're going to see, I think he thought he was bluffing. He thought Trump was bluffing, that Trump wasn't going to do it, and things like that. So he kind of just stood by the stuff that he was saying. But there was a very telling interview when he interviewed, there's a female that he interviewed who was a victim of the stuff that's being talked about Trump. And then comes, how she kept on correcting him about, no, this is not what Trump did. But he kept on pushing his verbiage towards her as if, just agree with me, bitch, in that kind of way. And she wouldn't agree with him. And so it kind of ended that interview at that. And it was just funny. And then what became of that was, well, Trump says, all right, well, you're saying this about me? All right, well, this is not what really happened, though. But are you sure you're going to stand by what you said? Because that's some deep stuff that you're saying about me. And he stood by it. So he filed a lawsuit. And guess what happens there? They settled. They did not want to pursue this any further than it already is, damaging stuff coming from Stephanopoulos and ABC. They'd rather have this thing settled than have this thing drawn out. And that's exactly what happened here, because this thing could have got dirty and really destroyed ABC. And so it's funny. And with Stephanopoulos, that puts a stain on his reputation because he's a dickwad too, by the way, because the way he talks to people, like he kind of talks down to people and stuff, he's a dick, and he's deserving of that. He should get what's coming to him too if ABC does any sort of repercussions for his actions. I want to show the interview prior to that when Stephanopoulos interviewed that chick. I forgot her name. I know I'm bad. Oh, Nancy Mace. That's who it was. Yeah, when he interviewed Nancy Mace, who was a rape victim and stuff, and she knows the difference between what her experience is, and she knew what Stephanopoulos was saying, and you can't just say things without facts, and that was the point of it. And it wasn't very factual, lying about Trump, and really shaming her in the process. So let's play this for you, all right? Because
Donald Trump supporter
bad.
who gave candid and courageous testimony about her own experience as a rape victim weeks before launching her run for Congress in 2019.
From some of us who've been raped, it can take 25 years to get up the courage and talk about being a victim of rape. And the first thing that happens when a woman comes out in public and says she's been raped, what is the first thing out of someone's mouth? Is that it didn't happen. This is why women do not come forward. They are afraid.
Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke.
She's just being straight up, just like that. She's being straight up, and I don't know. But yeah, you could tell easily that Stephanopoulos was trying to tie in Trump to her, and it was kind of like shaming her for supporting Trump. And, it's just wrong.
About it.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they are defamed by
It makes it harder when other women
candidates?
joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive.
Facts.
And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame
You
you
are.
at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
they are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all. I
told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it.
Again, because he was trying to tie her supporting Trump into basically shaming her into because she supports Trump, that supporting Trump is like saying supporting a rapist, and it is kind of shaming her in that way, and it's not even the case about Trump and the way he's trying to go about it at her. So I think he was totally in the wrong for that.
today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered
Explain
it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape. Just
it was
answer the
not a
question.
criminal court. This was
a civil court.
It was a
that found
civil
him
court.
liable
And
for
by the
rape.
way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you
but
about the
as
man
a
who's-
rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think
again
it's
and again.
offensive. As a woman,
He's
I find it
repeated it,
offensive.
I'm
For my
asking you-
political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you. There's
You
nothing
are.
I'm-
The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're
been
asking a
found-
rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And
You're
you've
questioning my
courageously
political
talked
choices
about
because
that.
I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're
shaming
supporting
me. You're trying
someone
to
who's been
shame
found
me.
liable for.
I could see her angle. I mean, you could honestly see her angle that he was trying to bait her into shaming her, into questioning her just because she supports Trump. Oh, you're supporting a guy that rapes females. You know, I mean, why would you do that if you're a rape victim? You know, he's not saying it like that, but you could tell that's his angle. You know, and it's just wrong.
Rape. Actually, I'm not trying to.
You
shame
are. That's exactly
You're not
what
answering
you're
the
doing.
question.
And I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you also have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable
Fuck
for
you, is
rape?
what I would say.
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a
Carroll chick
reason
was
why
full of
women
it,
don't
too.
come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid
They're
because
judged
they are defamed
and shamed,
by those
like you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald
And
Trump
they're
has been found
judged.
guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was a
So
civil
is that the
judgment over
distinction you're
sexual
making? A
abuse.
civil judgment
Sexual
is
abuse versus
okay,
rape,
but a
too.
criminal judgment
This
is
is
not.
different, and they didn't
Civil
even
versus
input all of the evidence
criminal
into
is different,
the
too.
civil case either, because some of the information she provided wasn't even accurate or correct. But to sit here and ask me as a rape victim to try to shame me for my political choices is wrong, and I think it's offensive.
You can repeat that again and again and
And
again
I'm going
and again
to
and again,
because
and
I
I've done
find it
nothing to shame
deeply
you.
offensive.
You don't find it offensive that Donald Trump has been found liable for rape?
I find it offensive as a rape victim that you're trying to shame me for my political choices. And I've said again repeatedly, E. Jean Carroll has made a mockery out of rape by joking about it. I don't find that funny.
Well,
Rape is not funny.
You've made it
Rape
perfectly
is
clear.
serious.
You've made it perfectly clear.
Rape
You're comfortable.
is serious.
It is
it's
serious.
not funny, and it shouldn't be made a mockery of. But
It
if you
is-
want to defend a woman who made a mockery out of rape, then you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that.
Well, actually, what you're doing is defending a man who's been found liable for rape. I don't understand how you can do that.
Not in a criminal court of law. This was a civil judgment over sexual abuse, not rape, by the way, and she made a mockery out of it.
Can we pull
so
up
which
the
one are
Washington
you going
Post headline
to?
right there? In fact, it has been shown to be rape. The judge affirmed that it was, in fact, rape. Donald Trump was found to have committed rape. That's just a fact.
That is a civil judgment, not a criminal court. They're two very different things, and you know better.
Well, I just showed you the facts.
You know better.
You show that you're very comfortable with what Donald
And
Trump
what
has
you've
done.
done is offensive to women who've been raped. What you've done this morning is offensive.
We'll let the viewers decide about that. Let's talk.
He had to have the last word in too, saying, "Oh, you're very comfortable with the fact that you're supporting a guy that raped somebody." He said, "Fuck you, dude."
Talk about January 6th. You had just been sworn into Congress on January 6th. You voted to certify the election, and you said Donald Trump must be held accountable for the violence right after the riot. Let's show that.
No wonder he lost. He was gonna lose badly on his defamation lawsuit against Trump, or Trump, defamed by him. He would have lost bad. That's why
We've
ABC
got to hold
settled.
not only the president accountable and ensure that he doesn't hold office again in the future, but also we need to hold members of our Congress, even in my own party, accountable for the rhetoric and the actions that led up to Wednesday's events.
You said he should never hold office again, so why are you supporting his run for president?
Well, I listened to my voters. I listened to my voters in South Carolina, and they've moved beyond January 6th. I said my piece on January 6th. I was very clear about how I felt about it. And I also, as you stated, I voted to certify the Electoral College for every single state in the country. But something's happened between now and then, and that was Joe Biden. And I listened to my voters. They move on. They don't ask me about January 6th. Maybe that's what you in the media, you guys talk about in your cocktail parties. But voters are not talking.
Yeah, and they keep hammering about this January 6th. Even to this day, they keep asking President Trump about January 6th and if he's going to concede the election. And even Trump said to this day, no, why would I? And it's like, dude, it's so the past already, all right? These guys got to get over it, the lefts, you know?
Talking about it. They asked me about February 22nd, the day that Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal immigrant. They asked me about October 8th, the day that Maddie Hines, a South Carolina girl, 4-year-old girl, murdered by an illegal immigrant who was deported under Donald Trump and allowed back in under Joe Biden's administration. They're talking about the over 8 million illegals who've come across our southern border in an invasion of our country and an actual threat to democracy, allowing that to happen. That's what they talk about.
Not talking about January 6th doesn't mean it didn't happen. You were very clear right there. You
I was very clear. I just said that.
You said he should never hold office again because of what happened on January 6th, because of what he did on January 6th. You said he should be held accountable.
Well, the facts have now come out about what happened on January 6th, and it's not anything to do with what Trump did. It's everything else that the government did against Trump to make him look really bad. That's a fact.
How has he been held accountable?
Well,
How are you holding him accountable?
Voters held him accountable through our Republican primaries this year. He's won overwhelmingly. America supports him. They're not looking back. They're looking forward. Since January 6th, we've had 3 years of Joe Biden. The American people do not like or support it. You've seen the polling. You cited the polling in your show today showing that Trump is beating Joe Biden on all of the critical issues that the American people care about.
And then he later on got replaced by Trump by Kamala Harris, and the rest is history. All right, so let's take a look over here. All right, so the lawsuit's been settled here. All right, so we have CNN, we have all this stuff here. Fox. I'll do both. How about that? I'll do both. That way, I'm fair and partial. All right, let me see here. And Stephanopoulos must apologize. I like that. All right, let's see here. Let's look at it on an Australian perspective. They always have a perspective of being impartial. So
the ABC has been humiliated again after they were forced to settle a defamation case brought on by Trump following lies told by their star host, George Stephanopoulos. The network will pay $15 million to a presidential foundation and museum set up by Trump.
And ABC News.
So obviously it wasn't about the money, because $15 million is really nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have been bigger and deeper than that. But, you know, to call it that really proves Trump right once again. And so Trump doesn't need the money anyways. I mean, that's why it was set up towards that foundation that was just mentioned. But I think he was just trying to make his point across about how all this liberal media stuff that keeps talking bullshit is going to catch up to them, and this one did.
And their top anchor reaching a settlement now with President-elect Trump in his defamation suit. The news network will have to pay $15 million to Trump and an additional $1 million for Trump's legal fees. Both ABC and George Stephanopoulos also ordered to issue statements of regret as part of the deal.
The ABC has also released a statement of regret. But many are saying it's not enough. This commentator said, just in, ABC News and George Stephanopoulos issue official apology to Donald Trump. Is this enough? The settlement came after Stephanopoulos sent...
You know, this is very political. Anytime, you can't say sorry, right? You got to say regret, right? You know, the word alone to me has always been a bullshit word throughout the years, and when I notice politically, is that they never say sorry. They say, "Oh, I regret this," and it's like that's not really apologetic to me. You know, I've never seen it that way.
Shockwaves around the globe when he claimed Trump was liable for rape back in March during an interview with Representative Nancy Mace.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape. Just
it was
answer the
not a
question.
criminal court. This was
It was a civil court.
It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
Online commentators have reacted to the windfall for Trump, with Megyn Kelly saying this is huge, total victory for Trump. Shame on George Stephanopoulos and ABC, who were forced to settle after the judge ordered George to sit for a deposition. They couldn't have their staff further embarrassed under oath. Good for Trump for fighting back. And this wasn't the first time Megyn Kelly ripped into Stephanopoulos over his claims. Back in March, she obliterated him for defending Bill Clinton while slamming Donald Trump over similar allegations.
Bill Clinton would ultimately pay Paula Jones almost $1 million to settle her civil suit against him. And you remained Team Clinton all the way.
Facts.
To say nothing of Juanita Broderick's rape allegation or Kathleen Willie's allegations and more. But now you, quote, don't understand how Nancy Mace can
Clinton was
support
a
a
bad
man
boy, man.
found liable for sexual assault
He was all
of
about
one
it.
woman 30 years ago in a civil trial in which the burden of proof is just 51% likely. My God, how did anyone at ABC think this was a good line of inquiry for George Stephanopoulos of...
And this commentator agreed, saying, it doesn't get any better than this. President Trump just forced ABC News and George Stephanopoulos to pay up. The fake news media has been put on notice.
Exactly.
But not everyone is celebrating. An MSNBC host came dangerously close to repeating Stephanopoulos' mistake,
course, MSNBC.
saying his comments seemed to hold up to what the judge said after the fact.
I'll just say, I mean, this feels like it has a real chilling effect. I mean, shout out to the standards department. Okay, standards is always making sure that we are keeping the bar high and substantive and accurate. But what George Stephanopoulos said in that interview, I mean, it seems to hold up with what the judge said after the fact. And now his news organization and himself,
MSNBC
George Stephanopoulos
trash
himself is paying
anyways.
$1 million of his own money to the lawyers, and ABC at $15 million. It's insane.
This commentator reacted to the comment, saying MSNBC host says what George Stephanopoulos said about Trump raping a woman seems to hold up what the judge said after the fact. This is defamation. Trump needs to sue MSNBC into oblivion. And it seems George Stephanopoulos wants to avoid the spotlight in light of the controversial news.
He's been quiet ever since then until this thing popped up, this whole Nancy Mace thing. I thought he'd stay low-key and quiet this whole time because I didn't really hear anything from him at all during this whole presidential election and even before, leading up to it. And all of a sudden this thing came out. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Deleting his X account.
He deleted his X account too. Yeah. So there you have it, all right. So the defamation lawsuit settled because Stephanopoulos is trash and full of it, and MSNBC should be sued too because you can't just have your cake and eat it too, say things and act like it's a fact when it's obvious they've been skewed far left with all these different channels and ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. They skewed so far left for so long, lying about all this shit, Trump is Hitler, all this other crap, and enough is enough. And this is great to me about what happened, and it should put everybody on notice for talking the nonsense that goes on. But anyhow, I just wanted to mention this here. Another victory once again for Trump. He just keeps winning. I mean, that's the winning team right there. So you have that, and then Johnson's an idiot in Chicago. Hopefully Chicago closes up come January 1st because this clown as a mayor doesn't know how to run a city, and it shows. All right, how he doesn't care about nobody except for himself and the teachers union. I mean, that's all it is, and his constituents. All right. So other than that, share with me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Subscribe. Hit the bell icon. I'll see you next one.